head to the money desk now with Rapiwa Madzena. Hello. So, methinks if one is going on holiday, one should definitely find a diesel car to go in.
Absolutely, because if the AA is correct in their estimates, over R1 that you're going to pay less on diesel. So that's a good thing. And what we're talking about this hour is that diesel users may be in for a sizable price cut next week. And that could mean more affordable holiday travel in December. The Automobile Association estimates that the price of diesel will decrease by around R1.55 a litre, while the prices of 93 and 95 petrol will be increasing next week. It says the decrease to diesel and paraffin prices is encouraging, as diesel is a major input cost in many sectors in the economy, and the decrease of this fuel cost is positive for consumers as well. So we've got Layton from the Automobile Association who joins us this evening to speak about this. So it's very interesting, and thank you by the way for joining us, Layton, but it's very interesting. I think the last 2 or so times diesel has gone up quite a bit, and it's been quite the struggle, and then suddenly we are looking at a significant drop of around R1.55 come next week. What caused that major movement?
Well, I think there's 2 reasons for that, really. There's been a big shift in the Rand US dollar exchange rate. We've seen, for instance, from around about the 5th of November, the Rand has strengthened considerably against the US dollar. And the average exchange rate, has come down. So that's really a positive development. And then the second thing is obviously international oil prices, which have eased over the period as well. So both of those factors are contributing to this decrease in the diesel price, certainly. And in the case of fuel, petrol, we predicted more sizable increases mid-month, and because of those 2 factors I mentioned, the Rand and those international oil prices, the increases are now looking less significant. In fact, 30 cents, quite marginal. Just one issue on that, the prices are going to get adjusted between now and next Tuesday, and there's every possibility that those increases could be even less when those prices are adjusted. So, let's see how that plays out over the next 2 or 3 days. But I think going into December, pretty good news for motorists and for consumers all around.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because one of the things we've seen, because diesel is so critical to so many sectors, Layton, it's contributed quite a bit to the inflationary pressures that we've seen with the higher cost of goods and services. So this is also going to contribute to that, isn't it?
No, certainly it is. I think when you see, diesel prices increasing and sharply as they have in some months throughout the year, then you do see this very immediate increase to the prices of goods and services. But when you see a decrease like this, obviously, I think a lot of people in the manufacturing sector, in the mining sector, in the road freight sector would like to see this on a more consistent basis. And that may have an impact on the prices they have. But certainly, I think a very important positive that comes out of this is that when you have a decrease of this nature, you don't see those increases at the same time. And I think for embattled consumers, and we know that consumers in South Africa are extremely embattled, that I think is the silver lining in all of this.
Indeed. Of course, when we do talk about these positive developments around fuel prices in South Africa, we do have to bear in mind that there's a lot of volatility globally at the moment. So anything could happen in the coming month. I mean, we can celebrate now, but just an outlook perspective for our viewers in that things can change because of the fluctuating prices of fuel, but also the Rand volatility.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to peg a number to it, but I think we need to be aware and cognizant of certain factors internationally. We still have the issues around the Ukraine and Russia. The global north is going into a winter period at the moment. Cost of living is becoming very expensive in places like Europe and North America as well. So there are a lot of factors that are playing on that, how OPEC is going to deal with output going into 2023 and how that's going to impact on the oil prices, obviously a big factor. And then we have to look at how inflation and jobs numbers are looking in the US, because that'll have an impact on their economy, and that will have an impact on the South African economy. So, I mean, yes, certainly good news going into December, but let's just be aware that there are certain factors that may play a role in terms of the local fuel pricing in the new year. Unfortunately, it's a question of wait and see how these things play out over a period of time. I'd like to gaze into my crystal ball and say this and this and this is going to happen. But it is a question of wait and see. And I think for the moment, we need to be cognizant, as I said, that there are a whole bunch of other factors, external factors, that may impact on our local pricing going forward.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, Layton, one of the big sore points when it comes to the price of fuel is the way that the fuel price is calculated and regulated by the state. And of course, there have been calls for active engagement to change this. Have you been engaging the different stakeholders, including government stakeholders, around this? And if there's any movement in a positive fashion?
So very limited engagement from our side and government. We engaged a couple of months ago where we said we would like to give input, and they were very open to us doing that, and we haven't heard anything back from them since then. That's the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. We understand, though, that there are certain talks that are happening behind closed doors, and that various proposals are being made in terms of how to deal better with fuel pricing and fuel regulation and all of these different types of things. But we obviously are not privy to those conversations, and we haven't heard anything more in terms of the review of the fuel pricing structure. I think until there's something that's official and on the table, we will continue to call for that reevaluation of the fuel pricing structure, because we believe that within that review lies some answers in terms of mitigating against rising fuel costs. Now, whether that's happening or not behind the scenes, we don't know. And for that reason, we will continue to publicly ask for that to happen. Hopefully, the new year brings some more perspective and there is better engagement. And this review that we've been asking for in the interest of consumer rights may happen sooner before it becomes too late to actually do anything against those rising costs.
Layton, as always, thank you very much for your insights this evening. That is Layton Beard from the AA, giving us a sense of what we can expect in terms of fuel prices next week. Diesel users, big reprieve, over R1 anticipated, and then, of course, a slight increase for those of us who use petrol.